One, two, three.
Welcome to the Smartest Amazon Seller Podcast. Today, we're going to do what we always do, but I'm going to be one that's going to be like writing down notes. Today's guest reached out to me with some study that he has done on Alexa for shopping. This was was Rufus, and a topic that I'm excited to learn about with data. So I have Christian, founder of Autopilot. Christian, you're going to have to help me with your last name. Is it Umbach? But
Umbach, yeah.
Okay, sounds quite German.
You're right on.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome to the podcast, and we can jump right in. Tell me what brought you to the Amazon space, what you've been kind of building, and then we'll go into the Alexa for shopping insights.
Yep. So it's great to be on the pod, Scott. For us, we got into the Amazon space in 2020. Back then, it was kind of the aggregator wave taking off, and our move into the space was really through the technical API side at that point. We, with our team, had developed a framework for API orchestration, event streaming, and machine learning, and with applications across different industries. But at that point, Thrasio was one of the biggest aggregators at the time. At the end of 2020, had the challenge of basically connecting hundreds of their accounts to the Amazon APIs and making that work at scale. And that there's some specific technical challenges like token bucket handling and so forth around that. So that was kind of fully our game, and that brought us into the space. And since then, we've been, I would say, grown above the data level quite a bit. Out of the insights, I would say, fast forward, through that aggregator wave, we had an application for basically doing the due diligence and a kind of 24-hour scan, fully automated around the APIs. That was used by a lot of aggregators. We got more than 15,000 brands to kind of connect it with that, ran them through kind of this evaluation process. And I would say when the wave came down, we're like, okay, well, we have a lot of data here to look at. Let's maybe look at where the operators can win much more. And that's where the story of Autopilot then actually started. There's a lot of tools out there called Autopilot, but when we started Autopilot as a company, Autopilot Inc. in 2023, it kind of was the result of that moment of oh shit, here's all that data across 15,000 brands. We could see what's moving the needle in terms of the different areas, advertising and content optimization and inventory optimization and so forth. And it was also a time where we got early access to GPT-5, which was coming out then 6 weeks later or so. And it really pointed us to oh, there's something happening that we can track here. And we got really passionate on the listing side.
So, I know that you guys you're doing a lot of content optimization updates, which probably led you to be well, how do brands, products win today with this Alexa for shopping? Amazon's clearly promoting it more and more. I do think it was probably smart of them to rename it Alexa. It just makes a lot more sense than having a dog character on your website. Tell me a little bit, let's jump into some of this, I guess the content piece that you work through and how, that's leading to these other insights.
Yep. So for us in our day-to-day, we'll look at content from different angles: SEO, the Alexa, so generative engine optimization side, from a seasonality side, compliance side, and so forth. But sort of double clicking on the Alexa side, we've been, I would say, tracking Amazon's progress there really since February 2024 when Rufus got announced. So that was like, the first steps into, I would say, that this overall evolving user experience. Obviously, with like at that point also on the Alexa side, there were kind of different tests already going on for years, probably for a decade now, of like what you can do with your Alexa device. But that kind of died down a little bit, I would say, in terms of focus. And it's actually, I think it's very positive that they're reuniting the two efforts under one brand
Yeah.
now, just to make it more clear for the shopper as well. Like if you're not in the Amazon, I would say, optimization space or sales space,
Yeah.
you probably don't know what Rufus is in the first
Yeah.
place. You have a fair share of knowing what Alexa is. And what we like every other week right now, I'd say that the user experience is evolving around Alexa. But
Yeah.
what we were really curious to figure out is like, okay, like if we look at Alexa at scale, is it a pure representation of the search results page, or is it something different?
As you're seeing like the types of products or the way that Amazon is like serving Alexa driven products, what types of insights, should, as you described, us Amazon optimization people know about?
Yep. So I think the main part that we found ultimately comes together in that Alexa is a third shelf. Your organic search is the first shelf, paid advertising is your second shelf, and Alexa or optimizing for the AI recommendations there is ultimately the third shelf.
Yeah. Okay.
The way we came up to, I guess, to that conclusion, so let's unpack that a little bit. Like maybe briefly on this study, what we did, we took about 2,000 non-branded queries, a few more branded queries, but for the core study, it was more on non-branded queries, and we put those into the detail page, and also then we're looking for what is the best product for X. So you want running shoes? Okay, let's go to the search bar, search for running shoes, see what comes up, and then we would prime Alexa with tell me what the best running shoe is, and see which results are being returned. Then we would record all that, so we will overall would have about 100 and close to 110,000 search listings that were captured. 70,000 unique products, and about just over 13,000 Alexa recommendations. And we did that across a couple of categories. So beauty, apparel, home and kitchen, supplements, and then kind of a few in like mixed categories. And we would take that data and then look at it from the perspective of, okay, like what's coming up in Alexa and how does it relate now to what we're seeing on the page. And now, that's where our findings come in, where the first part of the finding is that 64% of the suggestions that Alexa is making, it's not only going to suggest you a single product, but usually suggested about
Three.
And if you ask a little more, it will bring it up to 10. So we usually took those 10 product suggestions, and we said, like, out of those 10 product suggestions, or 8 to 10 product suggestions, how many of those are actually in the organic top 10? I guess any guess?
That's a good question. I want to say the organic top 10. I'll say 60. I'll say 70%.
64% is the right number, but 64% fall outside of the organic top 10.
Okay. So I'm on yeah. So I'm on the wrong side. I was wanting to be like, if it's strong organic, it's got to be strong in Alexa, but you're saying no.
So if we look at how it's being distributed, we can see that the number one Alexa recommendation was also in the organic top 10 55% of the time.
Okay.
But then the number 8 Alexa suggestion was only in the organic top 10 about 12% of the time. So you kind of have this, and it's a pretty straight curve down.
So that means like, the number 8 position is usually not anywhere served in organic.
Correct.
Okay.
Overall, we actually saw that a very significant amount, and we're like especially if we go towards the long tail, almost about half of them are not on the full first detail page at all.
Okay.
So what for us is an interesting learning from that is basically showing us that, first of all, it's not just a replica of the organic search page, but it is actually, and for brands, an opportunity to support sort of the long tail of search and support the long tail of brands, and it's kind of going to reshuffle competitive dynamics a bit on that side. Then the next part we looked at was like, okay, let's say from the first finding, it's more diversified, but can you buy your way into it? So how does advertising play into that? Now, what we found was that the picks that Alexa made was overall about 7% lower than the picks that the sponsored tiles on the detail page. So for the results that we recorded, we saw about 20% of results on the full detail page were sponsored. From the advertising picks or the products that Alexa picked, only 14% of those were sponsored. And if you are not on the first page at all, and you're hoping to get into Alexa through advertising, you have a 2.4% chance pretty much of winning there.
Okay.
So it's more, I would say, at the end of the day, advertising sort of rides the winners, but it doesn't make them overall. So we'll look at these results and we're like, okay, well, how equally is this distributed, or how is it the same in all industries? Is it different? And what we found is basically that, especially in apparel, home and kitchen, they, I would say, were quite similar there from a results perspective. Is you could say ranking matters least, so it's the most diversified in terms of results, especially on the apparel side. And then beauty, health, and supplements, it's a bit less diversified, and a bit more, I guess, aligned to the winners.
So what kind of, did you find any like leading indicators of like what would lead to a recommendation? Is like, is there any correlation to like quality reviews or even questions that are answered inside of their content, to the like A+ content, or if their bullet points are like fleshed out? What leads to a product getting recommended? Because it sounds like there are some products that get recommended by Alexa that aren't strong organically.
Yep. So overall, we saw that the rating matters. So it's at the time when we did the study, which was in early June, I would say the average rating, or the ratings that we saw across the recommended products, all were at least a kind of four and above. And then we saw also a relation to what's called sales velocity. So whenever Amazon had sort of supplemental information of like, oh, 100 sold last month, 1,000 sold last month. Like that was also a very strong indicator for kind of bringing in, I guess, credibility, and then ultimately leading to a higher rate of suggestion.
Yes.
And what if you use Alexa yourself, one of the things that you'll obviously notice is that the suggestions that it's giving you in terms of the products, in kind of the current alt title world still, it sort of cuts it off pretty quickly. Now, Amazon's now obviously transitioning to shorter titles, item highlights. So part of it is catering, I think, to the Alexa interaction there of making this, making the product much more accessible through it, and not, ending in sort of dot 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 and click here to find out.
Totally. No, I definitely see that title change being impactful. What about so good ratings, good sales velocity can help a non-organic listing get featured, and did you have any other final insights on that? I do know that you have some. You want to like there's some like bigger AI topics about AI visibility, Google, ChatGPT that we wanted to jump into. But I just
Yeah.
wanted
So I think just to kind of wrap up the Alexa side, obviously if we do a study like this, there are some things you can immediately read out of the study, and other things are more sort of in the foundation underneath, which is not necessarily a causal result out of the data that we're seeing. But I mean, just for maybe the audience as well, I think when it comes to Alexa optimization or Amazon optimization today, it is sometimes you hear about SEO is dead, and it's all about geo, generative engine optimization, sort of search engine optimization. Like how does it interplay? I think what like we take out of like this research and like our work in the space overall, I would say is like what is changing is that Alexa is looking to build an increasing understanding of you as the shopper, and the product is what they offer to you, to basically, at the end of the day, what we see AI search doing overall is increase the engagement rate, increase the time users are spending then on the site once they come to the site. And the reason is that the recommendations are perceived to be very high value, which means a higher likelihood to convert, good conversion rates, good sales from that as a channel. So what that means is from a listing foundation perspective is, okay, how can we, Amazon knows a lot of things obviously about the listing already, but how can we make it more obvious and more accessible, that it's great for these different events, it's great for those different use cases, it's great for those different outfits and on the apparel side, for example. Because in real time, basically, Alexa is picking winners, and the competitive space is not a 30 product search results page anymore, but it's the competitive space is basically 3 products, 5 products, 10 if you're lucky. So I think I think there's a lot to be said around like underlying data quality, data feeds, and so forth. But the angle that we wanted to bring in here as well. Just after we concluded the study, a different study was posted by the Peak AI team. They're one of the AI discoverability tools, and they specifically looked at the relationship of ChatGPT suggestions and Google's kind of shopping top 40. And interesting fact there was like I guess one finding, ChatGPT sources 83% of its carousel products from Google Shopping. And it's doing that through these shopping query fan outs where it's trying to take your query and then say, okay, like which shopping queries could you mean? That's more of the traditional SEO part here. And then it's kind of searching for that. And basically with an exact match of Google Shopping for about 45% there on the top searches for within the top 40, which for us is pretty close actually to the numbers that we've been seeing on the Amazon side. So the behavior seems to be quite similar, where it's like, okay, for whatever we're suggesting to you as a consumer, let's pick a couple of winners where we know, but then let's also diversify a bit, because we know that through that diversification, we're going to pick up on some of the attributes that are actually much more relevant to you right now in this very moment in time.
Okay, interesting. ChatGPT does often, when it's like bringing information, it does a search. It does like a Google search. And so it's almost like they're borrowing from the search engine. They're borrowing like context or trust, because Google, its foundation is built off of that, of just like, I guess like just traditional SEO, like why is something served first? Why is, things structured the way they are? And, there's like hundreds of signals that Google looks into. And ultimately it boils down to just like clarity and like, and trust and all the SEO stuff that we could go into. But but I guess the reason I'm saying that, it kind of builds into like, well, your foundation inside of Google and its shopping organization is probably a good place to like research and start with.
Yeah, I think you fall into probably one of two camps today. Like either you're an Amazon only brand, which means you completely live in a walled garden where today probably Google search is the only way of information breaking out of that walled garden, because all of the AI bots are otherwise blocked from going on Amazon, kind of scraping the details
So
there.
I've seen they still do scrape some on Amazon. Um, it this was after I believed exactly what you just said, but when we ran some like specific queries on ChatGPT and we ask for like Amazon links, you will see it will do some Amazon searches in a very targeted way. I don't, maybe they were ignoring the flags, or if there's specific Amazon, like we did mention specific like Amazon, like find us an Amazon listing that like does this, but interesting dynamic. That's
Absolutely. And certainly, I think with confidence, we can say that there's no like large scale, I would say, scraping and
and
search going on. It may
and
be that,
and in no way are they allowing any sort of transactions happening.
correct.
Yeah.
So, and if you're an Amazon only brand, like that's your limitation. If you're an omni-channel brand, then hey, your content also lives on Target, on Walmart, D2C side, and is generally more accessible there. Accessible doesn't mean optimized. So that's then like I would say a different discussion around optimization, I think, for the bots on that side. And that is for us, I think, a fascinating area that a couple of months ago we started going deeper into. I think you on the Smart Scout side also started looking more into sort of AI visibility. I don't know if that's like fully
Yeah.
Amazon related or
No, it's purely Amazon related, but what we work on, I mean, like the curiosity that I had was actually just like ChatGPT to Amazon. at first I was like, is this a thing? And yes, it is. If you if you go on ChatGPT and say, I want to buy creatine, you can see an Amazon listing. They will serve up Amazon listings. And so, yeah. And then, presumably Google acts similarly, as like Google like surfaces Amazon products all the time, even in like the old search paradigm. So I do think now more than ever, if you are an Amazon only brand, there is still an off Amazon SEO visibility like play as like um,
Yeah.
for example, some products get a lot of visibility through slick deals. Someone on Amazon will run a deal, someone will like replicate that on slick deals, and that content there lives forever and becomes, I can't tell you how many times I've seen it cited when people are trying to like think about what product, like, like a product that to buy on Amazon, they'll be like, well, Slick Deals has all this content that
Yep.
is related.
Yep. I think, there was this wave of, in this case, for more Amazon focused brands, so basically spin up a Shopify store and then have the transaction happening on Amazon after that. I think
Interesting.
the new wave right now that is starting to happen is basically leverage the content insights that you have from within Amazon, but make that available, the parts that I guess you own in terms of content where it's obviously not violating Amazon's terms of service agreement there, to publish that in a way such that it's accessible for the agent, such that at least, let's say, unless, obviously there's the case maybe where you pinpoint them to a specific listing and they're able to access it. Great. But that does not get you, I would say, discovered at scale. The part that gets you discovered at scale is making this content accessible. And like there, usually a D2C side is still a good path in, but
you're the first to tell me that. I actually think it's pretty strong. It's very interesting to to build a D2C site just for like that visibility, that content, kind of like reaffirming what a brand does. Interesting.
yep, and both from a brand story, but also then down to a product story. And you can obviously have that for human shoppers as well. They care about the
Yeah.
seeing the products and seeing them well presented. But the sort of the agentic version of that is basically an agent site. And usually it was live kind of behind your D2C side, where whenever an AI bot comes and starts scraping your D2C site now, they're pointed to that agent side. And on the agent side, they know that they can consume the content in a much more effective way than your products JSON or so, like a big blurb. But they know, okay, you're going to tell me what the brand is, what the product lines do. Maybe you're going to bring in some validation like from customers that you have against that. And it'll significantly, what we've seen, and we're running this right now across about 15 brands, it significantly increases the number of citations that you can measure either now with Google Analytics, so they open citation management, like I guess citation measurement, great, or in sort of these AI observability tools like Peak or Profound or Gumshoe, for example, which are more, let's call it synthetic environments to kind of have a sandbox of what's happening around your brand.
That's really interesting. I hadn't considered a lot of that. And certainly I there for me it's when it comes to AI visibility, it's a long-term play. You're not going to make like huge changes for tomorrow. But you can start to become known for something. You can build a brand that is like, the top considered for X category. And And it kind of requires a 360 content approach. Improve your content on Amazon, um, mirror some of that products content and brand content on in other places as you can, and um, then that just becomes like your message and your yeah uh,
And I think it's all about the path at the end of the day. And all of that, like if you have tracking in place of like, hey, let's understand the baseline and let's kind of use a certain tool framework, where it's like, okay, let's, for example, use Gumshoe AI, and they generate personas, they run queries. You'll see, okay, like today we're getting, um, you know, 5 citations like in their training run, whatever 5 means in this context, but and they will see like for which queries you're coming up, but then you start improving things, run this tracking a week later, and maybe you're getting 7, and then a week later and you're getting 10, and then a week later and you're getting 12. And you can, it's not like you're going to wake up the next day, obviously, of like, oh yeah, now the world changed, but it's also not like a pure shot in the dark where it's like, okay, like we're investing into this because AI is big, but there's actually evolving decent tracking on your path of kind of building out your presence. And I think that's really exciting for brands, because one, the tooling space is starting to shape up for that. Obviously the models are shaping up, so you have, I don't know, OpenAI like launch a new model or do a big change, and that has an impact on results as well.
yeah, no,
Um,
I think it's exciting. I think it's actually like something that like, you know, it's easier to invest in this now than it will be in a year or two down the road. Um, and
Correct. Because
uh,
especially if you're fast moving now, the large brands, like for them to kind of take those steps and to, let's say, launch an agent side against their D2C side, like that is a much bigger planning cycle than a lot of brands that are maybe more like operator run can achieve.
well, Christian, have you published any of this report? Um,
Yeah, so the report on the Alexa study for us has gone out through the Order, our weekly newsletter, and we'll be sure to include a link for folks here as well.
awesome.
Um, and yeah, we'll have more insights coming out over the next couple of months on then broader AI discoverability insights, both as it relates to Amazon and beyond Amazon as well.
I love it. Well, share that with me. I'm happy to throw a reshare on stuff like that. Um, as I There's lots of parts of AI where I'm like total believer in, and there's some parts I'm like, oh, it's still evolving. I'm total believer in visibility because like just a month ago, I bought a treadmill, and AI was primarily my like discovering or analyzing features of like comparing treadmills. I had to get this right. This is like a once in 20-year purchase. And um, there are people that have that same motive with any purchase. And so, um, yeah, it's totally here. And whether it's through Alexa or through ChatGPT or Claude, like it's here. People will be discovering your use cases, your for your product, for supplements, beauty, whatever you want to like sell.
Yep. I
Uh,
think OpenAI had a number the other day of 20% of all queries
yeah,
having some sort of shopping intent. And I know last summer there was a study which basically looked at specific like product purchases, which were about like then 2.1% or so, where it's like even 2025 that was like 52 million
yeah,
very specific product searches every single day.
yeah.
I think it's fair to
Well,
say that that's well beyond 100 million now.
totally. We're here. We're here. And so very exciting. Well, Christian, so it's Autopilot. Is that
Brand.com.
autopilotbrand.com? So, if you want to learn more, like we talked about some of what Christian does, and so check out what they do. Thank you so much for coming on, chatting, talking about AI visibility and Alexa specifically, like insights around that. I think are kind of the leading, uh, like I don't know. It's a lot of things. It's like undiscovered, relevant to Amazon sellers, but like still no one knows exactly. So just having any sort of insights right now is awesome. And thank you for coming on, chatting. So Christian, autopilotbrand.com. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Love the community.
All
Bye.
right. Well, that's the pod. Thanks everyone. And we'll end there. Take care.
1, 2, 3.